Right, that is it. First Grand Prix of the year over. As you can probably hear and see, the weather has taken a massive turn. It is now incredibly windy and blowy, blustery. It's starting to rain. It looks like the heavens are about to open with some force. But either way, the race was dry, as you know. The weather didn't play a part. Maybe we'd have quite liked it to in the end, wouldn't we? Because it was frustrating almost watching the stalemate between so many drivers today. Very little overtaking. This track is just not an easy place to get by. I should perhaps explain why I was just randomly walking out of a convenience store on Sunday night after the Grand Prix. Nothing exciting. I just forgotten my toothpaste, or I ran out of toothpaste. So that was an emergency stop for more. Well, it's amazing to know that it's all over. It seems like only yesterday that we arrived here. I know I said this yesterday, but it's over in a flash, these Grand Prix weekends. As soon as you get here and you get into it, things happen so quickly. There's such a adrenaline buzz and adrenaline rush around the weekend. You're kind of, very busy. The working days are very busy. The sessions, the pre-practice sessions, and then qualifying, and then the race, all comes at you so fast, and before you know it, it's over. But there we are, one race down. It wasn't the most exciting race, and I always watch these Grand Prix probably with a slightly different perspective to many other people. From an entertainment point of view, this may not have been the best race we've ever had. There was very little overtaking. The track doesn't lend itself well to overtaking, and the speed difference, or the lap time difference that you needed to have from the chasing car over the car in front to effectively be able to put an overtake into action was huge. You had to be going at something like a second and a half faster than the car that you were chasing to have a good, clean chance at getting past. And that's just not feasible for most cars. So we ended up with lots of frustration, lots of stalemate. But I look at these things slightly differently, and I'm really into the strategy elements. I'm really kind of fascinated by the different plays that are running throughout the whole Grand Prix. And I did think there was some interest in that, This all started, or this race was lost for Mercedes the moment Valtteri Bottas put his car in the wall on Saturday afternoon, because it left them exposed. It left Lewis Hamilton as the only Mercedes car at the front, flanked essentially by two Ferraris. Ferrari had two cars in play, which meant they could split their strategy, as I said, and it essentially put the Mercedes team on the back foot. They had to choose, they had to react to Ferrari's decision. They could pull the trigger first with one of their cars and still have the alternate option of leaving the other car out. That's what they did today, of course. They went early with Kimi. What that did was give Sebastian Vettel, albeit an outside chance, because he just wasn't as quick as Lewis Hamilton today, but it gave him an outside chance of running much longer into the race. When you do that, you open yourself up, or you give yourself the opportunity to benefit from unexpected things like safety cars, like virtual safety cars. And that's exactly what happened today. And I know that Mercedes have come out and said that there was a glitch in their own software. And essentially what that was the Mercedes' own software, which tells them how much of a gap they need from the car behind to protect against an unexpected safety car or a virtual safety car when you're coming up to a pit window. They all have their own software that tells them, normally very accurately, how much time they need over their main rival if he's behind to cover off a pit stop or to cover off an eventuality like, as I say, one of those things like a virtual or a full safety car. That software within the Mercedes garage unfortunately had a slight glitch in the algorithms that it runs off, and it gave them the wrong time difference, the wrong delta. They were working to a time gap over Sebastian Vettel that they thought would leave them safe in the instance of a safety car or a virtual safety car. As it turned out, it didn't leave them safe, and Sebastian was able to be out there much longer. And when the safety car, or the virtual safety car, came, he could make a pit stop whilst Lewis and all the other cars were running around very, very slowly in relative terms behind that under the virtual safety car conditions. And therefore, of course, Sebastian Vettel loses a huge less amount of time than in the pits than Lewis and then Kimi than they did when they made their pit stops. And that was where the difference was, of course. He had essentially not a completely free pit stop, but a very cheap pit stop, if you want to put it that way. Lewis and Kimi, the standard pit time lost today, Lewis and Kimi lost around about 20 seconds to make their pit stop over all their rivals. That was standard. When Sebastian went in and the rest of the field were running under virtual safety car conditions, he didn't lose anything like that amount of time, and that was what allowed him to come out in front of Lewis. It surprised Lewis, it surprised Mercedes because of this software glitch. But as I said at the beginning, ultimately, I think Mercedes made the wrong call in shadowing what Kimi did. I know Kimi was the closest car at the time, but let's be honest here, Kimi is not going to be Lewis's championship rival as this season unfolds. It's highly unlikely. And I don't say that in any disrespect to Kimi. I say that because Ferrari will at some point start to put all of their weight behind their main man, and that is Sebastian Vettel. For me, Mercedes should have been covering Vettel. So when Kimi pitted, Lewis should have been staying out, should have been watching what Seb was doing, controlling that gap and making sure that he was covering anything Seb might do in terms of making his stop. Lewis had enough of a gap over Seb to be able to do that. He could have comfortably controlled the race from there on in. And I know we could never predict the VSC, and that was very unlucky. But if they had chosen to cover off Vettel rather than covering off Kimi, I don't think we'd have had that issue. Anyway, those are the kind of tiny details that I love about Formula One. You've got to get it all right to be successful. And the tiniest thing today meant that Mercedes essentially lost this race when they had the fastest car. Having said that, congratulations to Ferrari. They played an absolute blinder. Because they had both cars in play at the front, they were able to split that strategy, as I say, and they played that perfectly. And it was almost ironic, wasn't it, after the press conference of Saturday, when Lewis said he wanted to wipe the smile off Sebastian's face. It was almost written in the stars that Sebastian, having said that Lewis could party on Saturday night and he hoped that Sebastian and Kimi would be partying on Sunday night, well, that's exactly what's happened. Anyway, it's been a fantastic week. I've absolutely loved every second of being here in Melbourne. It's really, really good to get back underway with this season. Such a great place for the first round of the championship. I don't think we need to write the season off saying it's going to be dull because of today's race. This was a circuit-specific dull race. And although it definitely looks like Mercedes have the fastest car, there's enough signs in Ferrari and in Red Bull, I think, to say that this is not going to be a walk in the park. It's not going to be a one-horse race. There will be opportunities for Red Bull and there will be opportunities for Ferrari, just like there were today. Ferrari took theirs today and there'll be more of that going on throughout the season. So I think there's plenty to look forward to, plenty to be excited about. And I'm knackered. I'm absolutely knackered. When you stop after going for all these days at such high pace, it hits you like a train when you finally stop. And that's what's happened today. Having said that, I'm going to go and get changed. I'm going to go out and have a few beers because I think I deserve it. And then tomorrow we head home. I hope you've enjoyed the Grand Prix yourselves. Please let me know what you think. There must be so many different topics that you guys have got opinions on. I'd love to hear them. Give me a shout, let me know. Pop a comment in the box below. If you've liked what I've done this week, please also let me know. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so, because I'm still finding my feet. I'm still working out how this will go, and I'd love your feedback about how I move forward over race weekends. Is it better for me to give a kind of tiny little snippet of an update each day, just kind of from the hotel room or wherever? Or would you rather have a kind of slightly more in-depth and well put together piece of the race weekend, for example? So little bits and pieces from each day that I put into one video on a Sunday night or a Monday morning. I don't know, I'll work it out, but I'd love your input on that as well. That's it. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I cannot wait for Bahrain. I hope you can't too. I'll see you then. Cheers.